Welcome to paradise.
Hey everyone, welcome back to In the Alley. My name is Cody. I'm glad you guys are back for another video. I'm in the Quad Cities, so we get to watch the game that we're going to preview here in 1 second, but we've got two games to preview when it comes to all of this. So we've got Iowa and Quad City first, Fishers in Green Bay second as we do this overnight Yahoo doubleheader for Saturday, March 21st. Let's dive in. I'm going to scoot over here and see if that centers me up in my preview bit a little bit, but we're going to start off with our first game, the earlier one of the two. It is Iowa at Quad City. It is a 6 p.m. Eastern time kickoff on March 21st on overnight. So if you do not have overnight, you don't get to watch this, unfortunately, unless you are here in the Quad Cities. I don't think they're doing any local broadcasts. I know MC22 was Iowa's broadcast. I don't know if they've done away with that, so I don't know if they're doing local broadcasts. That's a question I guess I've never raised until now. So if they are, great. If they're not, well, that sucks. But if not, you have to pay the money to go watch it on overnight and all of that stuff. But let's get on with the preview. We have the 0-0 Iowa Barnstormers traveling across the state to another state just on the other side to take on the 0-1 Quad City Steamwheelers. Now, with this, Quad City is coming off a loss where it didn't look too good. I've heard people that I talked to say that they quit, which I don't necessarily agree with. I think Fishers was just a way more dominant team in that one, and maybe they did quit, maybe they didn't. But for all intents and purposes, here's your get right game. On the other side, for Iowa, you've got a chance to make a team, your rival, 0-2. And make them lose their home opener. This could be a fun game when you consider what Iowa has brought in compared to what they've been the last couple of seasons. But we move on. Taking a look at our season leaders here, and I'm looking at my computer on this, so bear with me as I look down here. Season leaders for Iowa, there are no season leaders, so I'm kind of going off the cuff with this one. We'll talk about Quad Cities too. But Harrison or Harry Robideau is your quarterback, which I don't know if he's going to be your quarterback. Spoiler alert for the 25-man rosters. I put him here because his name is awesome. No stats for him, but he comes over from the San Diego Strike Force. He only suited up for 2 games, so we'll see how that goes. Daquan Neal, your leading passer for Quad City, 14 of 23, 111 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. Morian Walker, the former Arizona Rattler, he's bounced around for multiple teams and training camps. He hasn't really stuck around. I don't know if he's been with other leagues or anything just yet. I can't remember, but if he has, then yeah, he's definitely a veteran of the game. But I remember him more with Arizona quite a few seasons ago. I think 2022 or 2023, I think. But he's over for the Barnstormers for a much-needed running attack. For the Steamwheelers, 8 attempts for 30 yards for Daquan Neal. You got to get that running game going. Receiving yards, veteran of the league, veteran of the game, Raheem Harvey, former Steamwheeler, if I'm not mistaken. He's been around, man. Name a team he hasn't been on, it seems. I put him here because we don't have a receiving leader, just like the first game for most teams. Keon Williams rounds it out, 5 catches, 48 yards, 3 receiving touchdowns. Now, quick little injury report. No one for Iowa that I could find. And for Quad City, it is Marquis Whitlock. Same thing as last week against Fishers. Taking a look at the betting odds over here on the other side. Quad City is favored by less than a touchdown, -5.5, with an over-under of 81.5. So they're expecting some points. It's kind of like a mediocre indoor football league game, but for the most part, they're expecting Quad City to not win this one soundly, but to kind of take care of business. -198 for the money line for the Steamwheelers, +164 if you want the road underdog for the Barnstormers. We are in Vibrant Arena at the Mark at 6 p.m. Eastern Time for your kickoff. Again, this game is on overnight, with our series head-to-head being 9-5 in favor of the Steamwheelers, with their last meeting being Week 18 of last season, where Quad City took the victory 52-45. So there's your brief synopsis of our little preview. Let's go take a look at our 25-man rosters, our bet and our prediction, and we got another preview to go after this. All right, with 25-man rosters up over the face, we are going to take a look at both teams and what they bring to the table. Starting with the away side first, for the Iowa Barnstormers, your quarterbacks Ivan Corbin Jr. and Harrison Robideau. We don't know who's going to start. As we said through the transactions and the offseason updates and through the Iowa Barnstormers team preview, Corbin comes from the Green Bay Blizzard. He didn't play a game for him. And Harrison Robideau comes from the San Diego Strike Force. He suited up for 2 games to back up Nate Davis. But for the most part, both of these quarterbacks I do not believe have started an indoor football league game, not at least in the last couple of seasons. Corbin with the experience of 1, which I think he was in camp for Green Bay, but I don't believe he made a roster at all. I think that's at the time where he was behind like Jerome Johnson and Max Myler and stuff like that. So we'll see who starts. You have the 2 designation because Robideau did suit up for a couple of games, so I'm using him as the, quote, experience, but we don't really know. Speaking of experience, though, we do have Maureen Walker at the running back position. Like I said, former Arizona Rattler. I don't know if he played a full season for him. I cannot remember off the top of my head, but he was with them for a couple of games at least. And then on that one as well, Nazjay Bryant Lele, he will be your running back. We'll see how Iowa goes. We'll talk about this in a minute. If there's going to be more of a running game with what Andre Coles and the new coaching staff brings to the table when it comes to Iowa. But for the most part, we'll see, because I'm picturing what's gone on in Tulsa, what's gone on in Frisco, with how that offense is going to go. So there might be more of an emphasis on the running game compared to the last couple of seasons from when Iowa was really an air raid offense. But you do need wide receivers in either offense, and here we go with the Barnstormers: DeMonte Martin, Donald McKinney, Joshua Simmons, Curtis Ravenel, and Raheem Harvey. Now, with that, you have 2 veterans, Joshua Simmons and Raheem Harvey. Again, as we've mentioned, Harvey's been all over the place in the Indoor Football League. But with that, too, Curtis Ravenel was with the Bay Area Panthers last season. I think he was on season injured reserve. I don't think he suited up for a single game. DeMonte Martin comes back for another year. And then you've got Donald McKinney as your rookie. And it says Josh Simmons as a veteran. I couldn't find anything on him in the Indoor Football League, so if he has played, that's my mistake. But a veteran of the game, apparently he's played in 4+ seasons, Europe, Mexico, whatever the case could be. So it looks like he has some experience there at the wide receiving room. To the offensive line, and this could actually be kind of a sneaky good thing for Iowa this season. Nicholas Orr is your rookie, and then Tyler Castaneda comes over for another year. McLean Doja, I can't remember where he's been at. I know he's been with Sioux Falls. I think he's been with another team, but I cannot honestly remember. But you see the 3 designation there. He's been there for 3 years. So he has some indoor and arena experience. And Tyrone Chambers coming over from the Quad City Steamwheelers, a veteran of the game. So that offensive line, actually pretty good. So if you're able to protect your quarterback who doesn't have a lot of experience, rely on your running game a little bit with Maureen Walker, who has indoor experience, and even the indoor experience that you have with DeMonte Martin and Raheem Harvey, this offense, for all intents and purposes, could be sneaky good. We don't know. Defensively, Jacarius Smith, Tyler Tate, PK Aka Yensu, and Jared Johnson. And this is a pretty experienced defensive line for Iowa. Jacarius Smith coming over from Tulsa, former Frisco fighter. Tyler Tate and Jared Johnson are re-signed for another season. They were with the Barnstormers last year. And PK Aka Yensu is your rookie on that defensive line. So a lot of talent there. We'll see how that kind of goes. You pretty much have your 3 starters if you're going based on experience, with Aka Yensu being your death piece. Linebacker Austin Edmonds is your rookie. It's kind of the same thing we'll talk about with Quad City. An inexperienced linebacker. Could that help or hurt? And then the secondary, Amon Ross, Taylor Hawkins, Khalil Finley, Terry Jones Jr., Trayvon Pope, and Jazier Merricks rounding it out in that secondary. A lot of veteran talent, too, when it comes to the Barnstormers secondary. Amon Ross, former Jacksonville Shark. Taylor Hawkins coming over from Tulsa. Khalil Finley, former, I think, Green Bay Blizzard and San Antonio Gunslinger. And then you've got Terry Jones and Trayvon Pope being your rookies. And then Jazier Merricks, I'm not sure where he played. He's got a designation of 2, so it could be in a different league. Could be Mexico, could be Europe. Regardless, you have quite a bit of indoor talent when it comes to knowing the schemes, knowing the speed, knowing everything like that. So overall, this roster for Iowa, I'm not going to say it's going to be a world beater, but for all intents and purposes, could sneak up on some people. I mean, there is some veteran talent there. There is some talent that could go a long way for an entire 16-game season. Your kicker is Gabriel Reed. He has to replace Gabriel Rui. And that's your 25-man roster for the Iowa Barnstormers. Moving on to the home side for Quad City. They've already played a game, and from what I could tell, there were not any changes from last week's roster to this week's roster. This week's roster. Quarterbacks DeQuan Neal and Judd Roberts. DeQuan Neal is most likely going to be your starter. Running backs Trenton Barnes and Jared Ware, with Ware most likely being your starter. Your 3 wide receivers most likely starting, Kean Williams, Jordan Vesey, Kevon Rudd. But I did see Jaleel Dean get in there a little bit. I can't remember if Ricky Weber played. I have to go back and look at the 25 or the 22-man guys who suited up last week whenever that game becomes available. Offensive line, you've got your 3 starters because there's no depth, Joe Crowell, Edward Gatling, and Lionel Whittingham. On the defensive side of the ball, your 3 starters, most likely Keyshawn Moore, Chimadunga, and Rayshawn Williams, with Charles Rosser and David Abelarinwa rounding it out. Linebacker Alex Harriott. And in the secondary, Jamon Williams, Caleb Coleman, Kevin Ransom, Nicholas Harris, Malik Duncan, and Cameron Harrell. Most likely being Ransom, Harris, Duncan, and Harrell as your starters. But I think I remember seeing Williams out there as well at one point, maybe Coleman. But again, I got to go back and rewatch that game to make sure my mind hasn't played tricks on me in a week. Kicker is Yod Bogdan. That's your 25-man roster for your Quad City Steamwheelers, 25-man roster for your Iowa Barnstormers. Let's go take a look at our bet and our prediction, and we move on to the preview number 2. All right, bet and prediction time. Let's get it out of the way. I don't care if they win by 1 point. Minus 198 for Quad City. It's a cop-out. I don't care, but it's under 200, so it's under minus 200 odds. I'm going to take it. I don't care. I don't care. I don't trust the spread because I don't trust Quad City just yet, and I'm cautiously optimistic about Iowa. Let's talk about the Barnstormers really quick here, and I don't trust the over-under because I feel like both these teams, the way that Quad City's defense looked last week and the way that their defense has kind of looked in the last couple of years, Iowa could score points. Quad City could score points too because we just don't know how Iowa's going to look, but let's talk Iowa really quick. This is an opportunity for Iowa to really set the tone for the season, in a sense. Not saying that this is a must-win by any means, but you have an opportunity to go on the road, beat your opponent, drop them to 0-2, and you have a new coaching staff, new players, some old players, don't get me wrong, but really a way to sit there and say, this is us turning the page, turning the corner, a very good opportunity. Quad City is licking their wounds. Like, this is a great chance for the Barnstormers to get in that win column early and kind of get a little wave of momentum going as you start the season. Now, is that going to happen? I certainly hope not, but at the same time, trying to be as unbiased as I can here, this is the best chance that Iowa's had probably in a while. And yes, Iowa's beaten Quad City in the past. Let's make no mistake about it. But for Iowa to be in that spot where it's like we could try for the playoffs, we could try, and I know it's early, we're in week 2, but to sit there and be like, we can hopefully ride this wave of momentum. Let's see what we've got. We've got Quad City kind of reeling. People saying that this team gave up last week against Fishers. Can we make them give up again? So for Iowa, this is an opportunity. This is a huge opportunity to go on the road and beat your rival in their home place on their home opener against your former wide receiver who didn't re-sign with you. What can I say? I mean, this is a prime opportunity for the Barnstormers to pull an upset and put the league on notice that, hey, we can upset the best of them, and we can make some noise when we need to. For Quad City, this is a get-right game in probably the most modest of terms. And what I mean by that is, are you really getting right? I think there's a lot of question marks that Quad City needs to answer even after this game, and there's a lot of things that need to get shorn up. And I think when you watch this game, the scores and the stats might not be able to tell the story, the whole story of it, because you need to probably watch this game from the opening kick to the end to see how it goes. How does the momentum swing? Does Quad City get out to a big lead? Do they have to come back? Is it just they lead from start to finish? Is it Iowa's putting pressure on them and Iowa's leading to start to finish where you need a game-winning field goal or touchdown? It's in the eye of the beholder when it comes to this, but at the same time, what does Quad City have to do to prove that they're back in it? I guess is the question that I want to raise to you guys, and I guess to myself too. Is there anything Quad City can do in this game that says, hey, anything short of blowing them out by like 35 points that says Quad City's back? But even then, can you sit there and say, well, Quad City's back, or is it just Iowa's still down? So that's another question you want to raise, because even if Quad City does blow them out by 30 plus points, that's just same old Iowa. You know, it's just, and they're laying down again. So do you really answer any questions with Quad City if they win this victory? I think there's way more questions if they lose this game, obviously. And there's more Iowa questions of like, oh, is this team actually good? So I don't know, man. I mean, Quad City should take this victory. My prediction for this one, 42-37, I think it's close. I do. I don't know if Quad City is going to fix their defense in a week. They've got the home crowd behind them. They play better at home than they do on the road the last couple of seasons, mainly practically their entire franchise history. And for all intents and purposes, I think this game could be closer than most people expect. And I know some people thought that Quad City was going to go out and just kind of not destroy Fishers, but beat them. And I know I can't go against the team I root for. I drive 5.5 freaking hours to come up here and watch them, so I'm not going to go against them again. But at the same time, I could see Quad City dropping this game. I hate to sound that way, but as someone who covers this entire league, I'm not going to sit there, all joking aside, I'm not going to sit there and say Quad City is the bastion or the beacon of the entire league. They will drop games. They've dropped plenty of games. This is an opportunity for Iowa, and it's right there. If you're Quad City, you need to squash that quickly. You need to come out and get on a hot start. You need to get out to a 14-point lead. 21-point lead would be preferred. And not saying coast, but keep your foot on the gas. Keep your foot on the gas and just let them know you are not to be messed with. You are still, lack of a better term, you are still a little brother in this league. Yes, you can beat us, but we will beat you every other time, man. Like, you're not going to win. So for Quad City, you have to start hot. You have to let your defense be flying around there. You have to have that defensive line with Moore, Dunga, and Williams getting pressure on Robideau or Corbin or whoever it's going to be. You need to make that offensive line be something that can be feared as well. You need the offensive line for Quad City to be something that, regardless of how veteran that defensive line for Iowa is, you need to put those guys, and they played pretty well, all things considered, but once that pressure really started getting there, Quad City just crumbled a little bit, and you can't have that in this game. You can't. In another year, I know it's a different scheme, but another year with Tyler Tate, another year with Jacarius Smith, I mean, that defensive line should be good. Both these linebackers, still pretty raw. I know some people weren't happy with Harriet for Quad City. I was fine with it. He made the tackles he needed to. Can Iowa get their passing game going against the secondary? We'll see. They do have some veteran talent, but I think Iowa's going to try and be more balanced. I think they're going to run the ball a little bit more with Walker or Bryant Lele, and we'll see how it goes. But it's a work in progress, I think, for both teams, to be brutally honest with you. I think it's a work in progress because Iowa's going to start feeling out Quad City, and I think it's up to Quad City to completely shut that down. So 42-37, and I've got Quad City on the money line minus 198. So I think it's going to be a close game. I think both teams are going to feel each other out. I think Quad City is just going to prevail a little bit more in that fourth quarter as both teams start to wear down as the game goes along. But I think the trenches are going to be important very much. Like, very, very, very important for the trenches on both sides. And hopefully Quad Cities doesn't get worn down like it did last week, man. They people said they quit. I can't necessarily argue, but I don't think they did. It was just Fishers was really good. But anyway, I'm rambling. We have another preview to do. Let's go do it. Preview number 2, and this one should be game of the week because it features two teams that have already played a game. No other game this week does that. So, yeah, this should be game of the week by default. But we do have Fishers 1-0 after their home opener, after the season opener, going on the road to take on Green Bay, who's also 1-0. They're 1-0 at home. We'll have fans in the stands for this one, hopefully, unless there's a generational blizzard that we don't know about coming down the pike in a couple of hours. But this game will be on Yahoo Sports. It's an 8 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on the 21st of March. That's today, as of my recording. So this should be a fun one. We got Fishers and Green Bay. Man, it's like a tale of like one team. Just, hey, we're ready to make some noise. We're ready to make the playoffs, vie for a championship, and we got a team in Green Bay going, hold your horses. We were here first. We've been here for a long time. Stay in your lane. And obviously, I'm joking around when I say that, but at the same time, you're looking at Fishers going, this is like the newest team because we don't know what New Mexico is just yet, but this is the newest team, ready to make some noise. I've got them picked for the playoffs. I've got them picked for the 1 seed. A lot of people do as well. We'll kind of see how it goes, but this is an opportunity for Fishers to start 2-0 for the second straight year, and hope to God that there's no 9-game collapse after that. For Green Bay, to start 2-0 for them, it's pretty much like we're out for revenge. We want that championship. We were ever so close. We've exercised our demons last week. Let's move on to the next stop of the revenge tour. So for that, kind of see how both teams are going to kind of go about this. Now, they have their own internal stuff that they're going to talk about to themselves, but that's how I'm narrating it, at least. And this is my video, so you get that. No, but this will be a fun game. I look forward to both teams. I mean, Both quarterbacks are going to run the ball really well. We'll see how the passing game goes. I think both teams will run the ball really, really well, regardless of their quarterback position. But these are two very, very balanced teams, and the defenses both looked really good. So we'll see how it goes. Taking a look at the season leaders for both sides, and we actually have stats to talk about for both teams, which is cool. Felix Harper, your starting quarterback for Fishers, 12 of 16, 95 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Liam Thompson for Green Bay, 11 of 16, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Those are some very similar numbers, man. Only 1 completion offset and 3 yards offset with 1 interception as well. I mean, margin is so thin right there. Rushing yards for both sides, Josiah King, 10 attempts, 42 yards and 1 touchdown. Liam Thompson, 14 attempts, 59 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, pretty similar there too. A couple more attempts for King. He might be up in that 59 yards, whatever you have it. So again, very, very similar. Receiving yards, CJ Wyndham for Fishers, 4 catches, 39 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Terrell Carey, 3 catches, 41 yards, no touchdowns. So the touchdowns kind of offset that one, but again, offensive production for both sides, at least in your leading category, really, really similar. Taking a look at our injury report for Fishers, no changes from last week to this week. James Wright, Jaron McGaw, and Jeremiah Rogers stay on the short-term injured reserve. Only 1 addition for Green Bay, that's DeMylan Brown. He has been added, your third string, second string quarterback, whoever it is. He's not your third string because he ain't playing. So other than that, Sylvia Campbell has been on there for the last couple of weeks. We move on to our game odds. We actually have a road favorite in this one, -2.5 for the Freight. So Vegas kind of likes, I'm sorry, my throat's still going through this. Hold on. I do apologize. I hate coughing, and I don't like editing that stuff out because then it ruins my vibe. Anyway, -2.5 for the Freight on the road. So they must have seen something that they really liked when they beat Quad City, and maybe they didn't see enough with Green Bay, because it's not necessarily the line's wrong for me, but I don't know. You finally have fans in the stands. Maybe that plays a little bit of it. But +2.5 for the home underdog in the Blizzard. Over-under of 79.5. -135 to the money line for Fishers. +114 for the home underdog for Green Bay. And yeah, they're thinking that Fishers is going to win by a field goal or so in this one. So they're predicting a pretty close game with moderate amount of points. You're expecting both teams to score roughly 40, give or take. Again, 3-point spread there. Do with that as you please. We are at the Resch Center in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Again, 8 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff for our start. We are on Yahoo Sports Network, with our series head-to-head being 1-1. So they split the series last year, their last meeting being Week 14. Fishers takes the victory, 57-56. Nothing amazing happened in that game now, did it? That was, of course, the Hail Mary game. Fishers' final play. It was a Journey Sloan that caught the Hail Mary from Vincent Espinoza, and Fishers got the victory. Was that the game that snapped? I don't think that was the game that snapped their 9-game losing streak, was it? It might have been. I can't remember, honestly. But that would make sense if it was, because that's Week 14, and then you got, 5 or 6 games after that. But either way, if it wasn't, it was one of the games after their 9-game losing streak got snapped and moved them on to their 5-game winning streak to end the season at 7-9. But Green Bay, they took the victory earlier in that year, so they're going to break the tie in this one, whoever wins this. And I know they meet 2 more times, if I'm not mistaken, throughout the rest of the 2026 season. But we got to go take a look at these rosters. We have to go take a look at our bet and our prediction. We'll get on out of here. All right, 25-man rosters over the face, and we start with the away side as we always do. Felix Harper, your starting quarterback for the Fishers Freight. No designated quarterback, second-string quarterback. Jordan Davis down there in the wide receiving room. He is your backup, quote-unquote, but no quarterback 2.0, so to speak. Running backs, Dominic Roberto, and Josiah King. I don't think Roberto suited up last week. He might have, but I don't think he got into the game at all if he did. Josiah King was kind of taking care of business. Same with Felix Harper in the running game, and they did have a couple of wide receivers take some jet sweeps, if I'm not mistaken. To the wide receiving room, JT Stokes, Isaiah Coulter, CJ Wyndham, Jalen Green, and Jordan Davis rounding it out, and that was a pretty good wide receiving room, all things considered, last week. Stokes, Coulter, Wyndham. I think Green got in the game a little bit, but hint, at the Indoor Football League, we need to take that paywall, whatever you want to call it, off so people can actually watch these games and not take a week to do it. Thought I'd be okay with that, but Now I'm just rambling. Make the games available the day after or a couple of days after. It's kind of BS that we can't go back and watch this game. Kerry Reynolds, LaQuinston Sharp, Dale Simmons, and Devon Donaldson round out that offensive line. One of the names that you don't see on here from last week to this week is Dante Lucas. He has been traded, if I'm not mistaken. I cannot remember where he's going. Jacksonville, I believe. So one offensive lineman down, but Reynolds, Sharp, Daryl Simmons, Devon Donaldson, they've got more than enough talent to take care of business. And did they really need Dante Lucas against Quad City last week? I mean, for all intents and purposes, no, the way that they played, but that's where we have it. Defensively, Jalen Swan, Leon Smalls, Nicholas Lennon, Darius Long, and Bryce Bass rounding it out. Bryce Bass being a tweener between defensive line and linebacker. We'll see how that goes. I think he was with the team at one point and got cut, or he was with a different team. Regardless, Fishers assigns him on. Another name you don't see on here right now, Christopher Oakley. I didn't see him on an injury report, and I didn't see him on the roster, so I'm assuming he got released, but if he's still on the roster and we just don't know about it, I apologize. But still, that defensive line should look pretty good. Marcus Gray is your linebacker, and yeah, he balled out, man. He had a really good week last week. But yeah, it was a really, really good week for him, man. Into the secondary we go for Fishers, Donnie Lewis Jr., CJ Parrish, Kendarius Smith, Jaden Rowe, Justin Terry, and Devin Williams. Rounding that out for the defensive backs, Jaden Rowe, last week's defensive player of the week. I almost said defensive special teams. We'll get to the special teams player of the week in a second. But Jaden Rowe being your defensive player of the week, we'll see if he can have an encore performance. But that secondary, really, really good. A couple of breaks happen their way, but you'll take them any way that you can get them, and we'll see if they can have a little bit more with it. Parrish played pretty well. Donnie Lewis played really well. Obviously, Jaden Rowe, player of the week. So that defense looked really good. They got to stop that offense of Green Bay, who also, they struggled, but they started looking good partway through that game. Special teams player of the week, Callum Sutherland, rounds it out, and we move over to Green Bay. For the Blizzard, Cole Stenstrom and Liam Thompson for the quarterbacks, with Liam Thompson being your starter. He is last week's offensive player of the week. So you have all your players of the week last week going into this game. Liam Thompson, a really, really solid game, all things considered, not knowing what he was going to be capable of doing. He proved it. Salvatore, or Sal Malignaggi, thank you, Joey Bonadonna, for the pronunciation. It is Malignaggi. So you're only running back on the roster, and for what he was capable of doing, I didn't have really any expectations. Very, very good. Green Bay is very good at developing players, and they're very good at finding talent. Do not sleep on the Green Bay Blizzard. I know I sleep on them all the time, but my goodness, they are able to find talent like crazy. Kudos to that coaching staff. Malignaggi, one of those guys. To the wide receivers, Drayshawn Hudson, really good game. Trayvon Alexander, he had one catch. He needs to get up a little bit, but I was really impressed with Isaac Ross, especially in the return game, so more for him. Terrell Carey, your leading receiver by terms of yardage. That wide receiving room, I thought it left a little to be desired. It looked really good last week. We'll see what they can do this week. They do sign Jack Studer back on. He was one of the final cuts for Green Bay. He is signed on because I think Isaac Gardier has been released, or how you go through it. So to the offensive line, Delvin Salter, Jamie Navarro, Dakota White, Andrew Carter, he is still holding. But at the same time, while he is still holding, Salter re-signed on for another one of those late cuts. So he has indoor experience. You see the 3 right there. Navarro, he looked really good. Carter, he's a mainstay on that offensive line, all jokes aside. Yes, he's holding all the time, but he's very, very good for what he does. We'll see if Salter draws into that starting lineup or if Dakota White gets in there. But for all intents and purposes, that offensive line, that offense as a whole, very, very good. Defensively for the Blizzard, Tavon Grant, Jonathan Ross, Allen Henry, Jaquan Griffin, and Sean Mustin. They were rotating their defensive line pretty well last week, and it showed. They were able to confuse and get to Vegas until Vegas kind of started figuring it out. But early on in that game, that first half, that defensive line, and actually throughout most of the game, that defensive line was really, really good. Jaquan Griffin getting some love, recovering that fumble in the not final play of the game, but you know what I mean. The final possession for Vegas, he recovered that fumble, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, Sean Mustin, Allen Henry, Jonathan Ross, Tavon Grant, all that experience, it showed in the first game. So Jawan Mitchell's your only linebacker. Jordan Cry has been released. To the secondary, Reggie Bracey, another one of those late cuts. He has been signed on. Ricky Pearson II, Dorian Davis, Frankie West Jr., Najee Snyder, and Giovanni Waller rounding it out. And that secondary played pretty well, all things considered. The amount of rookies, we'll see how it goes. Jawan Mitchell, Juju Mitchell, as they call him on the broadcast, he played pretty well at the linebacker position, finding out where the players are going to be, kind of commanding that middle of the field. And I want to see how this secondary and this linebacker, how they pair against that wide receiving core and that running game in Fishers. We'll talk about that in 1 minute. Kicker, automatic Andrew Mevis, rounding it out. And there you have it for your 25-man roster for Fishers, your 25-man roster for Green Bay. We need to go talk, bet, and prediction, wrap everything up. We get out of here. All right, bet and prediction for Green Bay and Fishers, plus 114 for Green Bay. I think the Blizzard can pull this victory out. I was really impressed with what they did against Vegas. I am not shocked one bit if Fishers takes it. In fact, I fully expect Fishers. This is a spite bet, by the way. They broke my heart. And maybe if I just bet against Fishers every time, if you're a Fishers fan watching this, if I just bet against Fishers every time and they keep winning, I'll just keep doing that, and I'll be a quasi-Fishers fan this season. I don't know. But this is mainly a spite bet. But I do have some reasonings for this. I love the way that Green Bay played, the way that their linebacker in Jawan Mitchell, the way that their secondary played against Vegas, and the veteran group that Vegas had on their wide receivers, whether they have Josh Tomas and what they had with Jaden DeLora, they were able not necessarily to shut them down because Vegas did come back. But those are easily some things that you can learn from last week to this week. And you have fans in the stands. This is your second game at home. You will have the crowd behind you. Again, I don't think that this is the lines are switched or anything like that. I don't know if Green Bay should necessarily be favored in this game, but at the same time, those odds at home are a little too good for me. So I'm taking Green Bay plus 114 at home. Fishers has to travel. Again, what did we learn from both these teams? Not trying to overreact, but is Fishers this good, or did Quad City just lay down? I don't know. Again, not to go back to that again, because people said, Quad City just kind of laid down and let Fishers take over. I don't think it's necessarily that. I think Fishers is good. I think they just said, we're going to dominate this. This is another one of these games that's going to go in the trenches for me. You have that great offensive and defensive line for Fishers. You have a really good offensive and defensive line. I didn't say great. I said really good. They're on the precipice of being great. But for Green Bay, you've got a good defense and offensive line as well. I think where the difference is offensively for both teams is you've got a really good running attack in Fishers. You have a good running attack in Green Bay, but I want to see a little bit more. You've played one game with this lineup. You've played quite a few games with Josiah King and Dominic Roberto and Felix Harper. So, for all intents and purposes, I've seen more from Fishers in that running attack than I've seen from Green Bay. It could be different. Green Bay could shock him. I was really, really impressed with Malignaggi. I was really impressed with Liam Thompson. Like I said, that comparison that I made last week in the recap, or just a few days ago, I don't want to make a one-for-one comparison, but the way that Liam Thompson has taken off and run, that is a big boy run. Again, I'm not trying to compare him to Fernando Mendoza, but you get some of these big quarterbacks that are still able to scramble in the college and the NFL and stuff like that. That's what Liam Thompson reminds me of. Now, his arm can take a little bit to get used to. He was 11 of 16 last week, but at the same time, if he's going to be that accurate, we'll see how it goes. Now, onto the defensive side, Fishers has very talented wide receivers. JT Stokes, CJ Wyndham. But that defensive secondary for Green Bay showed out, man. And they did it without fans. Imagine having the fans chanting and being behind you and everything like that. Chanting defense on third down. Doing all of that stuff. This is the first road game for Fishers. How are they going to handle that environment? Especially since you've had fans locked out of their arena last week to the point where you're hungry for it again. This is your first true home game with fans in it. So how does it go from there? I might be putting too much into the fan base, but Green Bay does well at home, regardless if there's fans or not. So that's going to be a fun one that I want to see too. The wide receivers of Fishers going up against the secondary of Green Bay, and even Jawan Mitchell as well. On the flip side of that, how does Green Bay get their wide receivers more involved? I expect a little bit more from Trayvon Alexander, knowing what we know from him and what he did at Bay Area. but just the one catch last week. Can you get him more involved? Can the running game help take pressure off of the passing game? Now, Terrell Carey played pretty well. He had some good returns, and we'll talk secondary. We'll talk special teams in 1 minute. But Terrell Carey played pretty good. Drayshawn Hudson, he had a couple of good catches. And how does that go up against last week's Defensive Player of the Week? You saw the veteran wide receiving core with Keon Williams, Jordan Vesey, and stuff like that. Fisher's kind of shut that down. Fisher's kind of shut down Quad City. Can they do it again? That's what again. This is just going to be a fun one for me, man. Prediction, because I'm talking too far before I talk special teams. Prediction: 45-42 in favor of the Blizzard. Very close game. Like I said, I have no qualms or anything like that if Fishers takes this victory. I fully expect them to. Let's root for the underdog, though. But going up to special teams, you've got a special teams player of the week in Callum Sutherland. Is he going to be able to hit deuces? Well, not the special teams player of the week, Andrew Mevis. Very good at hitting deuces, very good at hitting field goals. One of the most accurate field goal kickers in the last couple of seasons. He's earned all indoor honors. The return games, really, really good return games for both teams. Now, Fishers, you're playing Quad City. You were there, but again, was it more on Vegas or was it Green Bay special teams? Because Green Bay special teams, I remember Jazaric Peterson, TJ Davis, and all of that last season. That's just more of the same this season. So I like Green Bay just a little bit more in this one. Added the home factor, added what you have. Fisher's going on the road. I'm not surprised whatsoever if Fishers wins this. But at the same time, if Green Bay pulls it out, I told you so. But again, if you're a Fishers fan and they pull out this victory, I'll just bet against Fishers every single time if it means they go 16-0. But that's where we have it. I've rambled on enough. We need to wrap everything up and get out of here because this is going to be a pretty long preview with just the 2 games. So let's move on. And that is it for our Week 2 Saturday previews. We got Fishers and Green Bay as our nightcap. And in our matinee, we've got Iowa taking on Quad City. And I know I got those backwards. I should have put those backwards. But either way, my brain fried already. And it's 7 in the morning. So I should have done this last night. But I got really car sick on the drive up here, man. So anyway, that's where we have it. I am excited to go watch Quad City in their home opener, and I'm excited to turn on Yahoo Sports and watch Green Bay and Fishers on my phone as I'm walking out to my car to go back to the hotel room and put that on the laptop and see how we go from there. But we should have a fun slate of games. We're not done. We're not done, because after this, we still have a game on Sunday between Orlando and New Mexico, and a game on Monday between San Diego and Northern Arizona, as those teams all kick off their seasons. We're here, baby. We're already 1 week done. Got 19 more to go, and after this, we'll have 18 more to go, which it's sad, but all of that waiting puts us right here. So, for all intents and purposes, let's rock it out with this one. We got 2 games here. Let's get ready to go. But I love you guys. I love you, love you, love you. If you want to, like, comment, share, subscribe. I looked last night. 1 subscriber away from 300. Whoever wants to be lucky number 300, go for it. Until then, I will see you guys in the next preview. I think I'm going to do the previews before I do the recaps and everything like that, just for sake of my own brain and my own mind. But until then, I will catch you guys in those previews. I'll catch you guys in those recaps, and whenever I have opportunities to do so. So until then, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I will catch you there. Till then, see ya.